So I'm going to light the Christ candle.
You can't get the star.
Okay. So we're going to use that candle as the focus to just center in. It's a wonderful focusing tool to allow us just to get still, to bring us into our center. And take a moment to give thanks for being present today, for the opportunity we have to gather together this time every month to reconnect our bodies, our minds, our hearts and our spiritual energy, Christ essence. Become more grounded in it, more present here and now. So with that simple 2-word message in our hearts, thank you. We say thank you for an afternoon that blesses us all. And so keeping this energy, feeling into this energy, allowing it to expand us and connect us, let's speak the words of the opening prayer of affirmation that's in the program together. I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love and wisdom. I acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. As I open to the flow of divine wisdom and love, I let go of any thought of limitation, for pure substance and love are manifesting in my world according to thy perfect law. And that's the energy that we've connected with this afternoon as we've begun, that pure substance and love that is God, manifesting through us, around us and as us so beautifully. So with that same energy of connecting, let's say our centre mission statement together. We provide a loving and welcoming environment where we nurture a spiritual way of living. Together with Spirit, we create abundant and healthy lives through prayer, learning, empowerment and joy. We celebrate, bless and appreciate our oneness. We've taken that energy and we've made it real for us this afternoon. And so the daily word goes on very nicely from this, continuing this vein. So Paul's going to do that for me.
I listen to others with love and respect. Communicating effectively is a skill that I can hone. I do when I remember that I share the same divine intelligence within me as the person I am addressing. Asking myself, what does this soul need, leads me to what to say and how to say it. In this way, I am touching infinite wisdom and my every word is divinely guided. When Jesus told the disciples that the Spirit would speak through them in times of difficulty, he was illustrating the important truth that no one is separate from divine intelligence. We are all connected with the deepest needs of each other's souls. As I affirm my inner link with my own wise heart, I receive exactly the guidance I need to connect with each soul in my world. And the reading comes from Matthew chapter 10 verse 20. For it's not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. And it's interesting in this that Jesus was telling them that they should listen. So when it says listen to others with love and respect, I think it equally means to listen to that voice within. I think that's an important part of the listening process. So let's just dwell on that for a few moments. So keep our eyes closed and just focus on listening. Listening to that still voice within. And let's say the affirmation together. As usual, say it first for I, then for you, and then for we. I listen to others with love and respect. You listen to others with love and respect. We listen to others with love and respect.
It is a famous reading, that one from Ecclesiastes. And I think that when we look at it, it's not about taking it just literally in physical form, but in that mental and emotional form. Sometimes it's time to destroy the negative thoughts that don't work. Sometimes it's good to raise up those that do. So it's rather than looking at it just literally, it's also looking at it within us, in our qualities that we have, I think. And I looked up a little bit about Ecclesiastes this morning. And apparently the word Ecclesiastes comes from a Hebrew word that I'm not going to try and pronounce because I have no idea how it sounds. We'll get Jane in, maybe she can tell us. But what it means is a gatherer. Someone that was gathering in the people and talking to them. And that the way it's written, they think it was written in such a way by someone, or maybe more than one person, that was really trying to bring the theology of the Hebrew faith alive and practical for their day, for what they were going on. They were in Babylonian exile, they believe. They were struggling to come together as a people. They felt isolated and rejected. So all of it is writing about how do we apply the Hebrew scriptures and make it real for us today when we're living. And that's how they view Ecclesiastes in all that its writings. The important thing is that just as they were writing then to make the Hebrew faith real for them as a people, it had to be practical, it had to be something you could use and work with. This is how we see unity. It's exactly the same. For us, unity is very practical. It has to be something that we can use in our lives. We take the teachings of Jesus and make it real for us. So I thought that was quite an interesting correlation, really. And the actual quote is basically affirming, really, the flow of order, that there's a time for this and there's a time for that, there's a time for this and there's a time for that. And sometimes we think it should be that time but it's this time, and vice versa. And we struggle because it's not doing what we think it should do or we want it to do. But if we recognise that life is in motion, it's always moving, and that there are times for certain things and we allow that flow to unfold, then there's less resistance, less struggle. We're more present, and we can respond in a way that is meaningful for us and the people around us. So I thought that was all quite practical. So what are we doing? We're talking about divine order today, and normally we always say divine order at work, but I thought we're going to say divine order at play. Because at work, when you talk about work, it feels like it's heavy, it's toil, it's hard work, there's effort involved, and really divine order is easy. It just happens, it moves of itself, it simply is. So I like to use the word play, because I think it brings a lighter touch. God's playing, if you like, rather than working really hard and, with all that effort. So I like the idea of play. David Davenport used to talk about having the light touch, and I think, let's have the light touch with this. Let's enjoy it. Let's use it as something to really work with joyfully rather than heavily. So that's why it's divine order at play. So, one of the prime directives of unity, if you like, we don't have dogma, but we have our 5 principles. And the first one is, God is everywhere present. And we talk about God being, and I love these words because, it's like what? Omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. So the way we think of God is not a being out there separate. And we were watching a religious program this morning on the telly, Bet and I, and they talk about religion. Religion is dying in this country, and Christianity is shrinking down and down. And it's all about having a faith in a God out there. And of course, a lot of people don't believe in a God out there. They believe, like unity does much more, that God is here now. God is here active within us. God is the substance and the energy. God is all. And they might not use the language and the words that we do, but spirituality in this country is really growing. It's really a big thing. You go online and there's so many different groups you can connect with and meditating and coming together and discussing and getting involved in. The way I love to see it is that all of God is here now. All of God is here now. Not just a little bit in each one of us, doing its own little thing, but rather like a hologram where everything is all in everything. So all of God is here now in everything, as energy, as substance, as vitality, as love, as light. And then it's like, wow, when I can choose to remember that, life is so different. Instead of being stuck in what's going on just here and now and it's difficult and it's hard, all of God is here now. And as much as I can open to receive that and allow that, that's when I can really start to experience it. And then live it and be it with everybody. Myrtle Fillmore said, stop every thought except the thought that God is all. She was really tuned in to God present. Stop every thought except the thought that God is all. And the more we can sit and know that and claim that and feel that, the more it's realised through us. It's how we view life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's how we view life, and we view life through our experiences. Through our upbringing, through our culture, through our environment, how we were nurtured. All of that impacts how we view life. And I was thinking about it. You know, there's the old story about people looking at an elephant, and they all had their little part of the window that they could see through. So when they were looking through at this, well, they didn't know what it was that they were looking at, but some were seeing, you know, the trunk, and some were seeing the tail, and some were seeing the legs, and some were seeing the ears, and they were describing. It's like, no, you've got it wrong. This is what it is, and this is what it is, and this is what it is, because we look at the world through our own restricted lens, if you like. And when we do that, we're limiting ourselves. And when we can, as you say, Lauren, expand and realise, actually, it's not just what I see with my senses, it's not just this little bit here, but it's the whole picture. And God is not just in that little bit, God is the whole picture. And to use terminology that's slightly inaccurate, but using it in this way, that God knows all, sees all, is everywhere present, it allows us then to expand and say, okay, I'm seeing just my little bit, but how can I expand my vision to know that there's a greater picture at work, which I'm not seeing, but there is a greater picture here for me to connect with. There's a greater presence, there's a greater authority, if you like, of which we are part. And we feel it when we come together. We don't feel it so much in isolation. Meditation definitely helps, there's no doubt about it. And going into the silence definitely helps, there's no doubt about that. But when we come together and have that sense of community and growingness and that energy, it does multiply. It's a bit like the World Day of Prayer that we had on Thursday. You know, it's that sense of connecting with people online and in the room with us really energises us and lifts us and connects us, and it's much more than if I was to just sit there by myself. So, there's no doubt. And it's experiential, you have to experience it. And a lot of things in life are experiential. Until we experience it, it's like, oh, yeah. But once we experience it, it's like, oh, wow, there's something in this. We were talking about it yesterday at Birmingham. God, it's being us filling ourselves with God's Spirit, being that, becoming that, and then being that in the world. But if we bypass us and forget to do it to us first, we experience a void, and that's when the challenges happen. Absolutely, yes. You look at the heart of every religion, the mystics of all religions, they all say the same truth about we experience God here and now. And we can only experience God here and now if God is here and now. If wasn't, we wouldn't experience God if God wasn't here, if you like, using that language. And the mystics of all religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Sikh, Hindu, Muslim, the heart of it is all God is here now. So, when things go wrong, and it feels like everything's shrinking down and I can't see what's going on and it's dreadful and I'm hurting and it's painful and this is dreadful and it shouldn't be happening, and we're looking through and we're just seeing this little bit of the picture and it can't be like this can't be right. We panic, we try and fix things, we try and blame people, and we get into our human mind thinking of, this isn't right, what do I do about it? Instead of, I suggest, finding that peace within, the stillness, finding that I love that saying, peace be still, that Jesus said to the disciples in the stormy waters, peace be still. Whatever's going on around you, whatever storm is happening, peace be still. And then when we can find that, we can connect again. So any way that we can find ourselves back in centre, back in peace, means we can start to open up our inner eye and see, instead of seeing just a little bit, know that there's a greater picture unfolding that we are part of, that's here present. All of God is here now. And we can only do that, I think, when we know that it's God that's holding us For me, God is love, and I experience God in that way, as love, like you were saying, Lauren. We can also think of God as light, as bringing illumination, as God as mind with ideas. So all the different ways that we can experience God, we can start to connect with that and settle into that. But there has to be that real sense of faith and knowing that God is here now, that we can rely on that. I like to say that it's like God's got us. We're being held in that presence. And the more we can allow ourselves to be held in that presence, the more we can merge into that presence and it becomes us. But there is that sense of having to be safe and secure and a greater faith that all is well, despite what I'm seeing with my eyes, despite what we're seeing with Korea, despite what we're seeing with the government and all the stuff that's going on, all the Myanmar, where the refugees are moving out, It's hard to see when we just look at one thing. How can this be good, as you were saying, Lauren? How can this be right? But when we can allow ourselves to reconnect and find the presence, get grounded in spirit, feel that, and know that God is present through us, through them, through all of us, equally, powerfully, here and now. All of God is present here and now. It's like, okay, breathe into that, like you were inviting us to do, Pete, to breathe into that and to feel that. And then I can make a response. Then I can choose, how am I going to respond in this situation? What's mine to do and to know in this? How can I be in a way that's positive, that's loving, that's giving? And it's all about trusting and letting go into the presence. And it's 2 words, let go. It's like sometimes we don't want to let go. It's like, I don't want to let go. I've got energy from this. This can't be right. But somehow we have to feel through that energy and say, okay, breathe. This is what I tend to do. Breathe and let it go, kind of dropping away. And as it drops away into the ocean, I can become the ocean. It becomes me. And then it's okay, what's mine to do? And at Unity, of course, we pray. We have a lot of prayer energy that we do all the time. And as Lauren was saying, it sends out that knowing. The more we pray, the more we know it for ourselves, the more other people get it, the more change happens. So we pray. And then we act. Then we have to move our feet and do something, whatever that is. Many people raised money for Grenfell Tower, the people that had that awful experience in that tower block, and other wonderful people step up where they have the ability to put on plays and shows and song and dance to raise money. We all, wherever we are, have God energy in us as us, and we can be that and know that and express that. But we do it more powerfully when we come from that point of God is here now through me. So very much in Unity, in the prayer unit line at Silent Unity, we use divine order all the time. We say divine order, and as much as anything, it's to encourage people to say, okay, let go. Let go of what you see going on with your physical eyes, with your physical ears, with the judging thoughts. Take a moment to let that go and know that the greater presence and power is here, that we are held and that we are safe, and that out of this we can then act and know that good is unfolding. And it's unfolding through us, and as much as we allow, as us. So I really like that experience of divine order. It's not what we've talked about in classes, because they talk about order in a different way when we talk about the 12 powers and order, but I think seeing it as divine order in this way, especially as prayer is such a dominant part of what we do, it's a really valuable way of looking at life as well. So when we say divine order at work, it's like the reminder, divine order, there's a greater good here, there's a greater power unfolding, let's reconnect with it and step up into it, because it's all about how do I make God real here and now and make a difference for me and for life around me. And there's also various practical aspects of order that we can talk about just a little bit. I'll just introduce it for a few minutes. Life is polarity. Ecclesiastes. For everything there is a season, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up. Life is in movement. The Tao, the yin-yang symbol, shows that. It's always moving. And there's always something of the other in what's going on as well, which is quite interesting. I like the yin-yang symbol. So life is always seeking, I believe, to experience balance and harmony. Whatever is going on, it's seeking to build that. So if we can recognise order as seeking to bring balance and harmony in, and when I'm peaceful and grounded and connected, it's at work through me, and I'm part of that bringing balance and order and harmony in. I'm part of the flow. So all of us, for ourselves, also have to find balance and harmony in our lives. Some of us work too hard. It's all work, 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 and and don't see their wives and don't see their families and don't spend time at home, don't have playtime, because it's all about working and earning money and prestige, and I have to do this and I have to support my family and all the other. Some play too hard and don't work a lot at all. Some rest a lot and don't do a lot. And so basically life is always seeking to find that balance, and I think for us it's also to find our balance and harmony as well, so and I know for myself I have to step back a bit more sometimes and stop and rest and meditate and breathe and connect, because it's so much about doing and not being. So a question we can take away from this is my life in balance and harmony? Is there something I could do perhaps more of or less of that would enable that balance and that flow to be better for me, so that I am more grounded and connected and peaceful, and yet stepping forward and taking action from that space? So that's a question for all of us that we can think about. And something else that we talked about on Friday, we had a really good session on Friday, didn't we, talking about divine order. And one of the things, a very practical exercise that came up from Paul Hasselbeck, was about prioritising, bringing order into our lives, establishing more order, and prioritising in our life through A, B, C, D and E. And so deciding what is life and death to us, what is so important that we have to do it come what may, because if we don't, there'll be serious consequences. We do need to take action. We do need to do things. We came here as human beings doing, we are here to do and to create, and it says that in Ecclesiastes, came that you might enjoy life, basically. You're here to enjoy life, not to make it toil and trouble and strife and all the rest of it. So it's finding what is the most important thing for me to do, acknowledging what that most important thing is for me to do, and then doing it as if our life depends on it, really. If there's something that you really want to do, and it's like, but it has to be kind of almost a passion, and enthusiasm is going to be our subject next month. That enthusiasm, that energy, what do I really want to do? What is it I want to experience that I really, because we've only got now, and 5 years or 10 years or whatever, what is it? And kind of feeling that and prioritising our day, but delegating and eliminating the rest of it, so that we don't get bogged down in I should do this and I should do that, and it feels heavy, and then we're back down to heavy and toil and trouble and strife. So I think that's a really wonderful tool. So it's a little thing to take away, to focus on, and where do I want to focus? Bringing balance, bringing harmony, bringing order. And balance is equally in us, being balanced and steady on our feet and grounded in earth, but also reaching up to that heavenly experience, that experience of openness and expansiveness, and bringing in all of God here and now as me, as peace. Yes, we've got an affirmation. Let's say the affirmation. And what we do in Unity at our daily word service is we say it 3 times as it's written. So we'll say it 3 times.
This is the closing affirmation?
This is, yes. I let go and give thanks for divine order manifesting in, through and around me now. I let go and give thanks for divine order manifesting in, through and around me now. I let go and give thanks for divine order manifesting in, through and around me now. And even as me now is the final step with that. So brilliant. So we're going to stand in our circle and we're going to sing our peace song. Please join us online. You know the words. 2, 3. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Wow, let's say the prayer for protection together, you know. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen.
Amen.
Bless you. Thank you, everyone. It's been lovely this afternoon. Thank you. And thank you, Dorian and Gregory, for joining us. Bless you, and see you next time.